Hello, friends. This is Alia Jamal, the love coach, and we are meeting for our April masterclass. And today we are talking about your story doesn't end with trauma, it begins. It begins. So today masterclass is going to be a little deeper dive into what trauma is, where you are stuck in it or not stuck in it, and how can you come out of it. And as I was marketing this specific class, I did make some very bold claims. And the reason I made those bold claims, because I teach from embodiment, and there are so many things that we feel we need to live with and they would never get healed, but it's very easy to live your best life no matter what you go through. So I'll be sharing those tips for with you. So first we are going to go through um, a few of the things here. First, we are going to go through what trauma is, and then we are going to go through why it is happening in our life. Like, what is going on right there. And then we are going to go into, you might have heard of it, the codependency with people we experience trauma with, and you might have heard of the addiction around it. We get used to those low feelings and then we don't know how to get out of it. And then we are going to talk about the last piece that is going to be about rebuilding. This might be a little longer conversation than our usual conversations, but I want to share with you some very solid tools that you can walk away with and you can create a life for yourself that does not get impacted by what you have experienced in human life. So, first of all, I want you to take a moment and take a deep breath. If you are listening to this, if you're watching this, if you're here with us and you have experienced some very, very challenging moments in your life, some very, very traumatic moments in your life, maybe just hearing the word trauma, like, those images will pop up, those memories will pop up. So keep in mind to take a very deep breath. The reason we take a deep breath when you are breathing deeply, especially when you're breathing from your belly, your lungs are pushing on the diaphragm. When they push on the diaphragm, your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the relaxed nervous system, gets activated and your body goes into everything is okay. It feels like you're laying on the beach and all is well. But when we are shallow breathing, when those memories come up, we go into stress. So do remember to pause. If you're watching the recording, pause, take a deep breath, and then come back to it. We will be talking about a lot of deeper stuff. So now coming back to the word trauma. The way I understand it, trauma means separation. Let's say this is your body, this is your soul, you were born one, a little kid, a toddler has no sense of separation from their soul. They just feel that wholeness within them. That's why they are more close to nature than, we adult are. They laugh when they want, they cry when they want, they are not suppressing their feeling. They are just going with the flow. They are not holding grudges. They don't have any guilt or shame yet. So that is our true nature. That is when the body and soul is one. Trauma is when something happens that our mind just can't make sense of it and it rejects the soul. Now there is a separation. Now the soul is here and the body is here. And body feels so restless when it's not aware of the soul's presence. So it's not like, you got ripped apart in two pieces. You're just not aware that this is here. So imagine your mom gave you $100. You were going on a field trip and you went out and you thought that you have lost it, even though it's in your pocket, but you think that you have lost it because you kept it somewhere else. You're going to feel that weird feeling inside of you. Oh my God, I have lost this money. I have lost this money. Imagine if you don't know that it is money. We all are living, most of us are living as an adult having that feeling of like something is missing. Something is missing. That missing piece is We are not aware of the presence of our soul, the support of our soul, the love of our soul. That is the divine part of us. Now, that, whatever created that separation is called trauma. What healing trauma require is coming back in awareness. I am not just the body, I'm also the soul. I'm not just this thing that happened to me. I have lived for eons. I was created many, 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 many millions and billions of years ago. And right now, I am going through this human experience having this particular challenge. So, living from such a broader place, you might have seen, like, monks or gurus who they can walk through anything and nothing touches them because they live at the level of the soul. They do not live at the level of body. But then, average human like me and you, something happened. We are so focused on the body, what he said, what she said, how this person treated me, how that person treated me. We get lost in that. We are not aware of the presence of our soul. So healing from trauma is not one day work. There is not just one layer of this work. There are many, many, many deeper layers to this work, but the journey is coming back to you. The real you journey is coming back to your soul. Journey is coming back to your heart. Heart is the seat of the soul. Most adults are stuck in their head. They're just worried, guilt, shame, um, fear, anxiety. We stay there. And all of that comes from what other people will think of me. What if other people reject of me? We are not open to love because we are afraid of rejection. We are not open to success because deep down, secretly, we think we might not be able to handle it, or it might be too much, or what other people will think of me. So when we are stuck here, we are not here. So coming back here, and that is the kind of work I do. If you're watching this as a recording and you feel like, okay, I want to do that work, you can always reach out to me. So, coming back to your own self as a divine being is the healing process. And there are so many modalities out there that you can use. I would say, whatever feels good to you, you'll find it or it will come into your life. But first, you have to make the decision or have the desire, I want to learn to live a different way. I don't want to live in a way where I get triggered with everything that is going on around me or somebody said something. For example, for me, the biggest pain point was I went to the gym and there was news playing and there was, they were interviewing somebody who looked certain way. Just looking at that person, I broke down into tears in a full gym. I was, as a grown woman, I was crying in public and the tears were coming so fast that I couldn't even hide them or stop them. That was the point where I said, I really need help. I cannot keep living like this, where any little thing can, just tick me off. Especially being a parent, that's not something we want to show to our kids. So that is what got me on this path, and I've been on this path for 10 years. I'm still learning, still growing. So now the second thing we want to get into that why trauma paralyzes us. Whether it was like, you didn't receive the love of your parent, or you got beaten up as a child, or something extreme in your childhood, or something you saw happen in your adult life, or maybe the past relationship you're coming from, it was just, very abusive. Whatever you have gone through, why do you want to heal from it? Like, that trauma, why do you want to heal from it? And why do you feel so stuck in it? So there are many layers to that. First of all, when we have gone through something like that, there's a very specific story that is stuck in our mind. That's why most people who go through trauma, they call themselves introvert and they hide. Find any introvert, they might have gone through something very, very traumatic that just froze them in their nervous system. I personally don't believe in any labels of introvert or extrovert. I believe we all have the power to be whoever we want to be. It's just a matter of choice. I'm introvert in some circles, I'm extrovert in other circles because I choose that. I'm not one or the other. So the story that we tell ourselves after experiencing that, that is the story. That is where all your power is getting sucked in. So what's happening? You're not living the life purpose your soul came here for. You're busy hiding, or you choose a career where you're just sitting in a cubicle, no one can see you, no one can hear you, and you can sustain. You can pay your bills and you can go on a nice vacation once in a while, maybe eat out, and that is how you're living this life. That's good life to live. But at the same time, your soul is going to keep knocking on you. Hey, listen to me, listen to me. And we numb it by taking anxiety pill, depression pill, all kind of, numbing ways. It could be addiction to substance. It could be addiction to food. It could be addiction to whatever we watch. But if we want to live the life we came here to live, we want to dig deeper into that story. And I kid you not, how many layers are to that trauma. Just this morning, I was doing some deeper work and a story came to the surface. Now I can, decipher that story myself, but in few hours, I'll be taking that story to my mentor because I don't want to put my foot into quicksand and get more sucked in. I discovered it. Now I'm going to take it to my mentor who can help me come out of that story. So when you start questioning every single thing that you think, that is where you're going to start releasing that energy. So what is the story that your a voice tells you secretly because what you have been through? Is it that, whatever I went through, there must be something wrong with me? So that is the guilt and shame. That is another layer that holds all your energy. Guilt says, I did something wrong. I must have done something wrong for that person to treat me. Shame is there's something wrong with me. So they both attack your very foundation. And unfortunately, sometimes people who call themselves so spiritual, they're like, God must be punishing me. That's why I'm going through this. Um, but that is not the truth. That is not the truth. You're not going through this because God is punishing you. And in a few, we are going to get through why you experience what you experience in this life, and we are going to understand the metaphysical essence of it. So pay attention to the story that you're holding on to. And at this point, you might not even be aware of the story because you're so numb that you're not even aware of the story that you're telling yourself and how it's impacting you. I can tell you my special trauma. Yes, there were some in childhood, but there was a lot in the marriage, in my previous marriage. And when I came out of it, if I am being very, very honest, and that's why I just went complete gung ho on getting healing and help for myself, I thought I am so damaged that I am not good enough for anyone. Now, that is a very scary thought to have. That is a very dark story to have. But when I got very honest with myself, that is what I was holding on to. And I knew that if I ever want to create a different reality, if I ever want to experience love, I gotta heal this. Who do I go? Whose help am I going to get to heal this very specific thing? That's what led me to choose my mentors. And today I can tell you, 4.5 years later, I am in a very healthy and beautiful relationship. But it required me healing that story within me. So that is just a quick example. Now, let's dig into why we experience what we experience. So, if you're coming again from a religious background, this is what I heard: God is testing you. You must have done something wrong. That's why you're being punished. People who believe in past lives, multiple life experience for a soul, they're like, this is karma coming to bite you now. You must have been so nasty to this person in another lifetime. That's why this is happening. And everything that you you would hear in a general circle takes you to guilt and shame. You must have done something wrong. There's something wrong with you. That's why you're experiencing it. And that's why it's very hard to even talk about trauma. It becomes hard to even heal through it because what we want to do, we just want to numb ourselves and never talk about it and never think about it. And we want to just keep walking on eggshells around ourselves, around situations, and that is how most of the adults are living. That's why very quickly our body starts to break down. And in our 30s or 40s, we are having diseases that a human is not supposed to have. And then we blame our food system, that our food system is messed up. But our own internal system is more messed up than anything outside of us because we are not living as the being that we are. We are pretending to be somebody or something that we are not. It's just a chicken try to pretend that, it's a cow. That is the craziest example I'm getting in my mind right now. So we want to understand the true metaphysical reason. Now, it might be a little advanced for some of you. It might just, go over your head and you'd be like, okay, I have no idea what she just said. It's okay. You'll understand it when it's time for you to understand it. And you can always have a call with me and I can help you understand on a deeper level why you're going through what you're going through. When your soul gets created, your soul is pure light. And who's your creator? The source. You can use whatever name you want, my friend, whatever religion or spiritual background you come from, there's only one source who has created you and me, and we are all alike. When your soul gets created, it's pure light. And at the same time, there is darkness that exists in this world. Why that darkness exists, why that got created. I usually share that in my one-on-one conversation, so I am not going to go into that. But if you want to have that conversation, you can always reach out to me for that as well. So there's darkness that has also been created. We live on the planet Earth. So your soul volunteered to come on planet Earth. Planet Earth, it's a space in the universe where there's dark matter. So let's say there's a dirty home and we need people to clean that dirty home. So you volunteer, you're like, I'll go, I'll clean the kitchen. Somebody say I'll clean the living room. Somebody say I'll clean the lawn. Somebody say, I'll clean the bedroom. Somebody say like I'll paint the walls. So everybody has a different job. Every soul that is coming on this planet, it's coming for something very specific. No one is coming here just to, have a nice job, retire, and then leave. Nobody's coming. Some of us do that, but no one is coming here to do that. So when a soul comes here, now let's say if one of the person says, I'll paint the walls, what is required? First, they have to learn how to paint the walls. If they don't have that skill, they can't really offer. So if you came here, I'll take my example. My soul came here to help women heal emotionally. And then there's two other things it's here to do. But that is one thing. Now, what is required? I gotta heal emotionally to the level where I can find that alignment with my soul. If I'm not there, I'm just sharing theory with everybody. Then I'll be a person who studies psychology and now I'm giving psychology lectures. I'm educating people. I'm not showing them the path to transform. When we go through an event that separates us from the soul, it's very specifically designed for whatever I signed up for. I said, hey, I'll go to help. It's not punishment, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be in a human body. There's so many souls that are up there that are not in the human body. There's so many souls that just, came to the end of their contract, ran out of time, didn't do their 100% work yet. There is no regret and shame and guilt in the soul world. It only exists in the human world because there is darkness. Guilt and shame is darkness. If you indulge in guilt and shame, you are indulging in darkness. That is the truth. And that exists only on planet Earth. If you go to the moon, There's no people going around, there's no beings going around feeling guilt or shame. But human go to moon and we take our guilt and shame there. So whatever you are here to contribute to humanity, you would first go through a path to learn it. So when you're going through that path, if you can keep that in mind, this is me learning. And it's not like, you don't know it. This is you unboxing that gift that already exists within you. I'm on a path of unconditional love. If I can see myself from childhood, I was already on that frequency. Going through that traumatic event left me no other choice but to dig deeper and open that gift so much that I can share that light, not just with myself, but with everyone else. So, whatever you are going through, your soul chose to do that very exact thing in the world. And it knew it'll have to go through an activation process. Learning, oh, I have that $100 in my pocket. It's not that it's gone forever. Oh no, it is in my pocket. Having that awareness, having that realization. And then there are other souls who volunteer. So whoever has been involved in your personal journey, those people are volunteers. There are other souls just like you, just as beautiful as you are, who have volunteered to take part in the bigger good. So it's not that now where the problem is, we try to look at these metaphysical principles with our human mind. What does human mind want? Instant gratification. Especially if you're living in today's day and age, that is our biggest challenge. We want instant love. We want instant food. We want instant shopping. We want everything instant, instant, instant. We start our business today. We want it to get to million tomorrow. Why it's not already at the million tomorrow? Let me look at my social media strategy. Let me look at that. We want instant gratification. So when we are going through the unboxing process, we get so frustrated with ourselves. We go more into guilt and shame. What is wrong with me? Why did my soul choose this? Like we take our mind takes the same principles and turn it against ourselves. Why did your soul choose this? Or why are you choosing this? Why, like we bring so much guilt and shame into that instead of just enjoying being in the human body, realizing whatever I'm going through, it's going to add to the bigger good. We are so busy thinking about ourselves because, again, that is the mind, that is not the heart. I want to get there already. Why I'm not there already? That is the mind. Soul is so happy just being here, contributing to the whole universe. Whatever you're going to do when you're going to take the journey to align with your soul, you think you're just going to do it for yourself and your past seven generation or seven future generations are going to change. Your kids will have less trauma to heal through. That's not the only benefit, my friend. The whole universe changes when you come back together. You're one more light that has been added to the collective. We are here to think not just about ourselves. There's time to think about ourselves and our well-being and nurture ourselves and make sure our body and our vessel is strong enough to carry on. But there's also the time to think about the collective. Whatever challenge financially, in your relationship, in your work, in your health, whatever challenge you're going through, as you work on resolving it, you're helping the whole universe, not just planet Earth, the whole universe. Because what you're doing, you're taking the separation, the trauma, that negativity that got created from it, the darkness that got created from it, the darkness that got created when people yelled at each other, betrayed each other, tried to manipulate each other. You're taking all of that and you're transforming it into light. That is why we go through trauma. That is how we transform the darkness into light. Only you can do it because you are a being of light. You volunteer to come here to take that tiny piece of darkness and transform that into light. And as you do that, you're impacting thousands and thousands of beings and people around you who are not even your client. They're not even your family. You might never meet with them, but just your presence as a human is creating that ripple effect. That's how powerful you are. So if up until now your story about trauma was like, there's something wrong with me, that's why that person fooled me, I was too naive, whatever that story is, or if you went through a financial loss, that person was able to con me because I was so naive and I was so gullible. If those are the story you're telling yourself, that's not true. Your soul volunteered to transform a piece of darkness into light so the whole universe can benefit. We are influencers, impactors by birth. If you are here in this body, you're already influencing the whole universe. You are that important. That is the metaphysical reason why we go through trauma. Do not engage with guilt and shame there. Do not indulge with instant gratification. In the world of the soul, there's no such thing as instant gratification because you're already whole. You're not trying to get somewhere because you're already there. Our retirement mindset is what really gets us into pain. It keeps telling us you're not there yet, you're not there yet, you don't have enough money saved up to be there yet. But the truth is, you're already everywhere. You're already rich. You're already loved. You're already complete. You're already healthy. That is your metaphysical truth. The more you focus on that truth and the more you start feeling it in your body, you're decreasing the gap between you and your soul. And my friend, the day that gaps become so small that you can actually feel your soul, you can feel your soul's love, you can hear your soul, you live a very different kind of life. I personally get to experience that, I'll say, most days. It's just a very different way of living. My life, to most people, maybe doesn't even make sense to them because they don't know how she could make these kind of decisions. But I get to experience it. I get to live with that lightness, and you can also experience that lightness as well. And that in itself is inspiration. So we'll get into our third section of our conversation today, and that is the addiction to trauma. Now, depending on what degree of it that you have experienced, because I personally believe there are various degrees of it. It's one thing when a kid gets slapped by a parent and then they think there's something wrong with them, and it's a very different when a kid get extremely abused over time by someone who's supposed to protect them. That is a different layer of trauma. So whatever you have gone through, it's almost like we get addicted to that. We get addicted to that low story. And we don't even know how to get rid of it, how to change it. We keep working on ourselves. We've been working on ourselves for 10 years. Some people go to therapy for a decade and they're still stuck in that story. So I want to help you understand what actually happens physically in your body when that separation occurs. That when you're not aware of that you have that $100 in your pocket, what's happening inside of you, the kind of things that are going on in your mind are creating a physical impact on your body. So your brain chemistry changes, and that changes your nervous system. So you might have heard of, like, a nervous system burned out word. And then, nervous system breakdown. I personally have experienced all different versions of it, still working on healing my nervous system because it's not a one-day job. You do get aware of more triggers, more things that you can work through. So I just wanted to share a little bit of a more physical things for you to grasp. So there is going to be a little bit of a biology lesson over here, a very short one. I get to bring my experience here from my past career. So there are many neurotransmitters in our body or in our brain. What neurotransmitters do, they take message from this neurons to the next neuron. So they are the one who are carrying the conversation. So if the person who's carrying the conversation goes down, that means those two neurons are not talking. If they are not talking, they have no idea what's going on. So what they do, they shut down. If there's too much conversation going on, they get overactive and our reactions, our behavior gets overactive. You might know people who just blow out of nowhere and you're like, what just happened? So that is a sign of imbalance in our neurochemistry. So there's one that gets, you know, it's called norepinephrine. And when it is out of balance, then we can't really make sense of things. There's serotonin that has to do with mood. When it's down with trauma experience, when we experience that separation, it goes down. So you might have seen kids being put on pills because their mood is down. They don't have enough serotonin being created, so we give them pills. But we want to work on what happened to this child. What did they experience? How did they translate it into their body that now their brain is not producing a balanced amount of these chemicals? There's glutamate. Um, this is what keeps us rehashing the memories when there's more of it. So if you have experienced that yesterday you had an argument and today all day you kept thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, that is a sign that the past trauma has made your nervous system unstable and there is a spike in this specific neurotransmitter. That's why you're experiencing it. This is not a normal human behavior. It's a normal human behavior of 20th century, but it is not a normal behavior of a human who is grounded. So most of this you will be like, yeah, check, check, check. Most of us right now who are alive, especially if you're old enough to watch this video or be present over here, we are walking around with nervous system that needs repair, that needs rebuilding, that needs some break. So there's also dopamine, that is the reward and motivation mechanism. So when we don't have a balanced amount, we don't feel motivated to do anything. Just want to sit there, do nothing, stare at the wall. And we know that we are supposed to do something, but we just can't get ourselves to do it. Then there's cortisol, that is the stress hormone. Uh, it's the stress response. And a lot of people, when they have had a high amount of cortisol for a prolonged period of time, they have a high cholesterol, and then they have high blood pressure, then they have heart disease, like all kind of crazy things come out of it. But the reason I'm sharing all this with you is when you experience trauma, something physically happens within you. And when your brain gets used to this there's no other better way to put it, this abnormal neurochemistry, it doesn't want to change it. That's why it is so hard to change our feelings. We like to feel low, we like to feel depressed, we want to change it, but then we don't really change it because that sappy story just seems so good to us. The reason we are addicted to it because physically we have changed. I also want to quickly share like a little bit about different parts of the brain. So amygdala that process our fear, that changes too. That gets impacted. So we now all of a sudden we have so many fears. We're so anxious. We're afraid of everything. Hippocampus, that is responsible for memory, might have memory loss. You might be standing in a room and you'll be like, I have no idea why I came here. And you might just, start writing everything because you can't remember. Then there's prefrontal cortex, which is, this area, executive functioning. If you feel so confused to make decisions, that is what does get impacted. Now, these three are related to PTSD, post-traumatic disorder. So if you have experienced traumatic events and they keep coming back and you are seeking for safety, you want to hide, and deep down somewhere you feel very comfortable feeling that. And maybe you've been working on yourself for past 5 years and you're like, nothing works for me, nothing works for me. I've tried this, I've tried this. It's not that nothing works for you. You don't want to let go of that trauma because it feels familiar. It's been with you for so long. You don't even know who you will be if you get healed. You just got used to being this way. That is where most adults, they just live with that sappy story. And maybe not you, maybe you have seen someone because it's easier to see in other people than in ourselves. If you try to show them the way, they'll argue with you for their excuses. They'll be like, no, you don't understand how my life has been. This is how it's been. So I am going to be this way. I was like, I had a very abusive parent. So that's why I'm so angry all the time. They are married to their trauma. They don't want to let it go. And I will invite you to look within you where you are married to your trauma, where you're addicted to it. And once again, the deeper I go, I find these places on regular basis because I question everything I feel, question everything that um, I think, why it is happening. So most of us think that our story has ended because this thing happened to us. But my friend, the truth is your story begins when you experience a traumatic event. So now we are moving to the rebuilding stage of this. So let's say if you have experienced trauma, no matter how crazy and, gut twisting it was, that is good news. That means your soul is here to do something big for humanity. Not just because you become a millionaire by creating that service or product in this world. No, really adding to the whole universe. And there's no shame about it. There's no guilt about it. When you will stay focused on what your soul is here to do, you're not going to feel that shame. You're not going to feel that guilt. People will come to you, people try to rub it in your face, but you don't have to engage with it. So that is the first layer. If you're here experiencing something so difficult, that is good news. That is very, very good news. I personally now, when something doesn't go right or when something crazy happen, I literally get happy because I stay focused on what soul here is to do. And very recently, I went through a very, 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 very crazy challenge, still going at some level. But I went through the whole thing with a very big smile on my face because I knew what a good news it is. And, being 6, 7 months out of it, I can tell you from my own personal experience that it has been really good for me. I had no idea how good it would be. It's even better than I thought. So whatever you go through, it is good. It means someone is very interested in you, and that is your soul. And that specific trauma was necessary to unpack your gifts. That is already sitting within you. You don't need to go to a university. You don't need to go get another degree. You don't need to get any certification. It is already within you. That is another thing which humans have such a hard time. We are so brainwashed into if you don't go to school, if you don't get a degree, you're going to be loser in life. You will get nowhere in life. We have stopped believing in inherent skills of a human being. We have stopped believing in that there's some gifts within you you're born with. You cannot get any education for them in this world. Your soul brought them from the upper world with you. They don't even belong to this world. Now, can you go to a university and learn courage? Can you go to a university and you can learn trust? Can you go to a university and learn how to love? You can learn how to have sex, right? There is education about that. How to give the most pleasure to your partner. You can learn all that, but can you really learn how to fall in love? These are the characteristics of your soul. So your gifts are sitting within you. That was the specific frequency, whatever trauma you went through, everything is frequency. That was the very specific frequency that was needed to break your gift open. That's why when we go through something traumatic, we feel like it just broke us open. We feel like we have shattered into million pieces because energetically you have. It's like, getting hit on your head with a coconut and then all you see is stars everywhere. It is that kind of feeling, but it's energetically you feel that. So once you have realized that whatever I went through, it is good for me. It's exactly the frequency I needed to open my specific gifts. Your story is going to start transforming. Instead of associating with your trauma in a negative way with the guilt and shame, now it's turning into, oh my God, I am so special. That thought is changing all the neurotransmitters in your brain. Now, that thought won't come on its own. You will push yourself to think that because maybe you learned this or you learned something else. You're choosing that. So those neurotransmitters are, we've been living here for decades. This thing belongs to us. That's how we run the show. But with your will, that is another attribute of your soul. With your will, you say, no, from this moment on, I am choosing to feel good about this story. I'm choosing to feel it's a privilege. I'm not choosing to feel like a victim anymore. I'm choosing to feel it's a privilege to go through that. And my friend, in all honesty, it's not going to happen overnight. I remember when I started training my brain to think this way, it's going to take you a few months, if not a couple of years. But start it somewhere. As you think on a higher vibration, it's a privilege, it's good, I am loving it. Those are all higher vibrations. Your transmitter, your neurochemistry is forced to change. When we are in love, we have very different brain chemistry. We feel high, we feel elated versus when we just lost something and we are in grief. So you can induce that feeling of love within your mind yourself. So the story will change, the guilt and shame will start dropping. The second thing is get used to being alone with yourself in quiet. Start feeling just yourself, not other people's energy, just yourself. Now that is a muscle we're going to start building so you get used to feeling your soul. A beautiful example would be, or a practice would be, go to the woods, sit there or walk. You can do walking meditation, which is only focus on where you're putting your foot and focus on the sole of your feet. Even if you're putting you have shoes on, as you're putting that foot, just stay focused, keep your focus on what is underneath the foot. And your focus won't be here, and that is example of a walking meditation. As you're walking, make the intention, I want to feel the soul around me, within me. I want to feel that energy. And you don't have to be energy healer. You don't have to be working with energy. We all can feel it. It's already within us. If you go places and you're like, I didn't get a good vibe from there, or their vibe was bad, you're already feeling energy. When you start getting used to being alone and quiet with yourself, in the beginning, it's going to be very hard because your nervous system is going to go crazy. Your mind will go crazy with chatter. because that is, you can say it like, unhealed nervous system. It doesn't feel safe. It wants to fill in your life with stuff. It doesn't feel safe with emptiness. But slowly train yourself. As you train yourself being alone and quiet without anyone else's company but the company of your soul, your brain chemistry is getting changed. Your serotonin level is going to go high. Your dopamine level is going to go high, or on a good level where it needs to be. Your cortisol will start to drop. These are all the like what's happening behind the scene with these kind of things that you hear. The third layer would be start listening to your soul. Now, that takes, of course, a lot of practice. Your mental chatter has to go down a little bit. So, getting used to being in a quiet place, changing the story you keep telling to yourself, and then inviting, I want to hear my soul. And you'll be surprised. You will be able to hear, see, touch, feel things, depending on what are your own spiritual gifts. I can hear whenever I find myself stuck and I'm like, yeah, I tried intuition. I need direct guidance. I can hear my soul. Why can I hear and maybe someone else cannot hear? Because that is the muscle that I have worked on developing. At one point, I started talking less with humans and more with my soul. I started dedicating more time to rebuild that relationship. I became aware that, this being is what runs this body. The real me is that soul. It's not this body. This body is temporary. It will be gone after a few years and then it will be decomposed. This is not permanent, but that part of me is permanent. So getting into a habit of talking to your soul. Who is your soul? What is your soul? How does your soul communicate with you? And just to give you, a lot of people are like, my soul wants this, or my soul is not happy with this. That's not soul. That's your ego. That looks like it's your soul. Your soul talks to you in a very gentle, loving way. And your soul would never tell you that person is bad, stay away from them. It will nudge you that maybe hanging out here is not aligned with your purpose right now. How about you hang out here? It never makes other people bad because soul knows even if you are the craziest person, you and me are one and we are the same. You're just in a vessel that is playing that role in my story. Soul knows we all are one. So if you're talking to your soul and your soul is telling you, call that person and say them all these crazy things, that is not your soul. As you would build that relationship, you'll nurture that relationship, it will start to make more sense. That what is it? Who am I beyond this body? Now, the fourth thing that I want to share with you, that is when I learned it was a complete game changer for me. I went from trying to control my thoughts. I'm not going to think this. I'm going to think this. I went from there to be just present and centered. Literally in few seconds, as soon as I learned this. So again, a little bit of advanced concept. If you can grasp it, you can grasp it. You do not think your thoughts. You might think, oh, I'm thinking this right now, then I'm going to think that, then I need time to think. You don't think your thoughts. You just receive them. You are that, radio that is going to just receive the frequency. You're not creating the frequency, you're just receiving or you're channeling. Now, if you have a nervous system that is stuck in a stress response, you're going to receive the darkness of the trauma, like the darkness that is at the same level as the trauma. Because you're looking at it, you're like, this is what happened to me, that is what I went through. So you're going to receive that. So when you're receiving the frequency from your or the thoughts from your trauma, you're not going to trust people, you're going to question everything, you're going to judge people, you want to take the safest route, you're always vigilant, you're indulging in shame, you're indulging in guilt, you're afraid of everything. That is where you feel stuck. There is another channel. It's called your soul channel. What is your soul saying right now? That is a very quiet channel. It talks so less than the other one. We get addicted to the other channel. Yes, we went through the trauma. That is the event we needed to open our gifts that now we are here to share with the world. But when we get to that awareness, we're still listening to the trauma channel. That is the darkness. Soul is the light. Now we want to switch to what is my soul saying right now? And you will just hear very gentle nudge into a direction. And then the next step would be listening to your soul and acting on it. Not going back to the trauma channel that is saying, I don't think so. That is safe enough to do. I think you should give yourself more time. I think give yourself a couple of years. Oh, why do you have to do this right now? Someone else can do it for you. Someone else will come and save you. Why they are not saving you? So we get the direction from the soul and then we switch the channel. If you can train yourself to ask yourself, what is my soul saying right now? And then act on it. That's all. If you have to spend next 10 years just working on that one piece, I can guarantee you, my friend, you're going to create a story or you're going to discover a story about yourself that is going to blow your mind. And you're going to realize, oh my God, I had no idea. This is how humongous and wonderful and magnificent I am. And that is the soul. That I am is the soul. Right now, your trauma puts us in a tiny box where we feel very small and very stuck. But the journey of coming back to your soul's voice and acting on it and always doing your best effort to tune into that channel. My favorite thing to ask myself internally is who you're listening to right now. Yeah, two voices are talking to me. Am I going to listen to this voice that tells me all the things that are wrong with me, how small I am because what happened in my past, or I'm going to listen to this voice that tells me what I'm here to do? My day is going to be very different if I listen to the one that is telling me darkness and the one that is telling me light. And the same thing goes for you. Again, the challenge will come. We are addicted because our physical body has been changed when we experience that event. Like when a coconut hits a human head, it hurts. Something changes within it. That's why it hurts. That's why emotionally we feel so much pain when we go through it. As we go through that process and we don't marry that story, we realize, oh, this is just something I go through. That doesn't define me. I defined myself. And I'm going to listen to my soul and act. Listen to my soul and act. One thing you would realize, you're not going to be that busy. You're not going to be doing million things in a day, trying to prove your worth, trying to be a hustler. You will get this one thing and you'll just do that one thing, and that is going to open the doors for abundance, for health, for wealth of love, for the connection and the beautiful times that you get. It is going to open all that door. So if you find yourself stuck in whatever has happened to you, listen to it again and go through those steps. What story am I telling myself? Is there guilt and shame? Just stay focused on guilt and shame. If you can just take out those two, then just ask yourself, what is my soul saying right now? Follow that. It's that simple. It's not very hard or complicated. The other route is you can get all kind of medication to balance these, uh, you know, neurotransmitters in your mind. and you can just stay on that route and still stay with the guilt and shame. But once you take the guilt and shame out of your life, you can have so much more energy back. And again, if you do have a diagnosis or something, of course, always get medical help, always get whatever kind of help. But if you feel like you're at a place where you're ready to just break through and connect with your soul, you can always reach out to me and we can have a conversation and I can show you how I can assist you on that level of growth within you. With that, we are concluding. If you have any question, you can always reach out to me. If you have any comments, you can, share them wherever you're watching this video. And I will see you in the May masterclass. And I'll be very soon putting out the topic for it. And I am excited that you get to be part of that and you get to learn. Sending you so much love. Bye.